What's going on, guys? Kivox here with Meekachii. I don't know why I always introduce these. They're basically her videos. But we are doing our wrap up for January, February, and hopefully this is coming out at the beginning of March. And we, if you guys remember last year, we made these things for 2019. We kind of revamped them for this year. It may be worse, it may be better. You guys could be the judge of that. They're a little bit smaller, so it's a little bit nicer for us to store and stuff. It took us kind of a little while to figure out what we wanted to do. It was your idea, so I give you props. I give you props for your idea. I was like your paintbrush, and you were,
oh my God.
and you were the artist that decided on how. I'm your favorite paintbrush. That's basically it.
Oh, that's from Mythic Quest.
Yeah.
Idea was to make books.
So they're not really books; they're just book covers, kind of, if you think about it.
Bam.
But then inside, you got
mine's upside down.
Our
was it upside down?
Ranking. I don't know. No.
It wasn't upside down.
Silly goose.
To me, ones don't belong on the bottom.
Well, one's at the bottom.
I know.
So the way that we rate them is DNFs are going to go down here. If we don't finish, obviously, DNF did not finish.
I already got one.
And then we got 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3. You have 2 spots here. You have 2 spots for 3.5s and 2 spots for 4, because those are the ones that we see the most.
That we had to add on last
time. We had to have a little thing here.
We also made the stickers significantly smaller,
so that we could have a nice little small thing like this. It just kind of works.
You probably won't be able to see them on camera, but it works for us.
But we're showing them the books.
Yeah.
So it's not a big deal. It'll work.
Wait, yeah, you hold that.
Okay, I'll hold them.
So, the first book that we both finished in 2020 was The Last Witcher.
I liked it.
I did too. I think so. Kind of spoiler for March. I've been reading the second one, and I like this one better.
The first one?
Yeah. I don't know why.
But
I feel like
I don't
because
remember.
more of this was in the show.
Yeah, there's that
and then in the second one, I figured like some of it was in the show, but not as much so far.
And yeah, okay. So it is weird because the show is really good. We played some of the game, a lot of the third game at least. And I definitely see like this was a really good retelling or telling of the story, and then the show was a really good retelling of this book.
Yeah.
I think they did a really good job. They introduced some other things from other books in there as well.
Yeah.
So
there's definitely some things from the game in this one.
Yeah.
The third
you mean
picture.
There's some things from the game, from the book in the game, right?
Yeah.
Because the book was the original.
But yeah, there's not really much to say. Like, I really enjoyed it. I felt like I didn't have any trouble reading
This
it.
isn't technically the first book that he wrote for the story, right? It's just the first book in the
that you're supposed to read first, even though it's like a bunch of short stories, sort of.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the show. If you like the show, I think you would like this.
Except, I'm going to spoil it a little bit.
So, spoiler alert.
Yeah. So, there's no backstory for Yennefer or Ciri in these books so far. And that was like a third of the show.
Yeah.
Well, no.
Well,
2/3 of the show.
A third and a third, yeah.
Was their backstory. So, like, I want to see that, and maybe when I get into the actual, like, full novels, like, they'll have that in there, but, yeah. Boom.
So that's how it's going to work.
First book of the year.
That's how they're going to go. Wow, you really stuck it up there in the corner, hey?
Yeah, I'm trying to make room.
Uh-ohs. I'm going to put it in the middle. No, I'm just kidding. At least this way. So I made sure this year to make boxes so that we didn't get that thing that we like. Ooh. We slowly start like going down or up, and then it looks super weird.
We'll probably still end up putting them on top of each other at some point.
I don't know, Meek. You can fit a lot across this.
We'll see.
You look at this.
It's my goal.
You could fit a lot across. Okay, what did you read next? Spoiler alert, guys. I have not gotten a lot of reading this year, but I have made a lot of wands. So it's like a give and take. I don't think that was a wrapped book, because we do another thing. There's going to be another video coming out where we do our TBR, and you have two things that you do extra. You're plus ultra a little bit when it comes to that. But we basically do a jar that she picked a bunch of sequel books that she pops in there, and then I lost my voice. I pick a book, or I pick a random one, and she has to read that one. And then there's another one where I don't know where they are.
That's not good.
I wrapped 12 books at the beginning of the year from her TBR shelf, which is like 1,000 books.
I was gonna count yesterday because I finally organized my bedroom shelf, my TBR physical TBR shelf, and then I got lazy and I didn't want to count them.
I'll help you later. So there's that. This was one of the wrapped books.
Book, and so last year, the last 2 years. No, you only wrapped 1 year. Last year, when
it feels like it's been.
Was it 2 years?
No, it's only been one.
Yeah,
it's only been one.
Anyway,
time.
So last year, when he wrapped all those books, no matter if I liked the book or not, I forced myself to read it. And every year, I tell myself like I'm gonna DNF more books when I don't like them. So I was literally 140 pages into this book, and I just couldn't take it. And I was like, Meek. I was like, please pick out a different book for me.
You weren't like that. You were like, oh man, I wish I didn't have to finish this. And I was the one that was like, Meek, just don't finish it. Don't put yourself through that. I feel like that's one thing that you haven't learned yet is like if you're not liking it, just put it aside. Like that's part of the book. Like you shouldn't force yourself to not enjoy something just to maybe at the end you'll like it.
Yeah. So
because that's gonna be a bad rating anyways.
I was really looking forward to this book. But 140 pages in, I couldn't take it anymore. The main character drove me insane. Essentially, her personality changed so much, so fast, without any sort of character development, and it just drove me nuts. Like, I can't stand stuff like that. Like, be consistent with your characters, unless there's some life-altering thing, which doesn't usually happen within 140 pages of meeting the character. So, this character was, like, super badass and super like tough and crazy and didn't care about anybody but her sister, and then all of a sudden, like, this is probably spoiling it, but she didn't become like that anymore, like instantaneously, and I was just like, I can't. It's the plot wasn't that good where I was invested. I didn't care about the characters at all, so I gave up.
Did you rate it? Are you gonna put it on your rating scale?
Yeah. Well, no, I did rate it a 1 on Goodreads just because
you have to rate it something.
I feel like I need to rate it something, but it's going.
Wait, hold on. Does it go sideways?
It's gonna be dead.
Okay. No, don't put it all the way to the bottom. Put it center. There you go. No, center. There you go. That's better.
It died.
So that's what we do for Oh, we didn't even explain the rating. These are stars. There isn't just a random star at the top. This is a star.
For the ultimate ultra books.
The plus ultras. This is the second time I've used plus ultra in this video. I'm wearing this t-shirt, so I kind of got to say it. I'm sorry.
Then I finished Kingdom of Ash.
Wow, that's such a big book.
It was like 1,000 pages.
No, thank you.
So this is like the 7th or 8th book or whatever. I think it's technically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th in this series.
Wait, there are 9 there. There are 8 there.
Yeah, there might.
No, there's 7 there, so that would be 8. Wait, 1, 2. You can count.
This was in my TBR jar, and yeah, a lot of people hate on this series. I don't care. I really enjoy this series. Her mind is so vast. She came up with this just incredibly like in-depth world with in-depth characters, and it was honestly a bit hard to go into this because I think it had been 2 to 3 years since I read number 6. And then I read the in-between novella, which only has a few of the characters. It's not a novella. It's like 500 pages. But then this one, so it had been like 3 years.
So it's a regular size book.
Yeah. It had been like 3 years since I saw some of these characters and like places and stuff. And I had to like do a lot of like digging back and like figuring things out at first. But I really ended up enjoying it. People can hate on the series all they want. I super enjoyed it. Her new book is coming out on Tuesday, so I'm looking forward to that. I'll probably add that to my March TBR.
Did you know that the back had her in a dress?
Well, I think I did. It's like the back of her.
This is like battle mode. This is party mode. What did you give it? Oh, you're not putting it like right up against it, are you?
Maybe.
Ooh, okay. See, we already have 2 on the 4s. I'm telling you, man. This is how it should be. The middle section should have the most because that is the average between best and worst. If you read a lot of books, this is where it's gonna be. For me, it's mostly up here and up here because I'm more picky and I don't read as much, so I got to make sure I'm gonna read the best books. Like occasionally.
I don't know how you guess that because like sometimes I'll go into something thinking it's amazing and it's not.
I don't let hype affect because actually I don't read the hype. I don't follow hype. I only get hyped from you. So
I then finished Fate of the Fallen. This was a pretty good book. I didn't really care for the ending. I really don't know if I'm going to continue on with this series. It's not out yet, the rest of it, but it was a good story. Like I thought the magic system was cool. I liked the characters. The story itself was pretty cool. This is fairly generic. The audiobook narrator is the same as your boy Andrew Rowe, his guy that he chooses. I forget his name.
Nice.
So I was having a bit of trouble getting into this book, and then I started listening to the audiobook, and it really kicked it up for me because there's a character in here that is supposed to be kind of like the comedic relief, and I didn't read that in my head, but when the audiobook narrator did it, I was like, okay, like this makes it so much more
it's not just
epic.
Awkward stuff.
Yeah, it was just like my mind, the way I was reading it, wasn't doing that justice. Yeah. So it was really good, but the ending kind of like lacked for me. Like I felt like it ended kind of abruptly, and like the twist at the end, I was just like, okay, whatever. But I was enjoying it once I got to the audiobook.
All right, so what did you give this? A 3. You gave it a 3.
3.5.
Oh, but you can't do 0.5s on Goodreads.
You should be able to.
Yeah, these fit perfectly.
They do.
I'm pretty good. Pretty good. All I'm saying.
So, when I did not finish my wrapped book for January, he was nice enough to pick a different book for me.
I wasn't nice. I was just like, this book looks cool too, so let me check it out.
That was A Silent Patient. I enjoyed this book.
But
to me, it did not live up to the massive hype.
Yeah.
And like you had even met someone that hyped it up.
Yeah.
And like
they were like, I read it in like 3 days.
I read it really fast too. Like it is a fast read, but the hype for me just wasn't there. Like I don't know. I think
sometimes hype is bad.
Yeah.
Hype ruins things for people. That's why whenever a new movie comes out, I don't like people telling me if they liked it or disliked it. I'm like, I'm going to go watch it either way, so let me go have my experience, and then we can talk about it, and you tell me what you think.
Then again, though, because, like, for example, like, Turn of the Key was, like, a mystery thriller type book, and that book, to me, was, like, it lived up to the hype.
I know.
But this one, though, like...
But what I'm saying is that having something that's too hyped is automatically putting yourself in a defense mode. You're like, this better be as good as everybody says it is. And if you went in
not even that, but I was just expecting it to be that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It better be as good. It's just a different way to say it.
It was a good story. I enjoyed it. I finished it really quickly, but the ending just left me kind of like, okay. Like I expected there to be this like crazy super plot twist, and maybe there was a sort of plot twist, but to me it wasn't that crazy, so I don't know.
You gave it a 3? I'm just guessing.
Are you gonna guess all my ratings?
I'm guessing, yeah, 3.
I don't understand. Hey Siri, I'm just guessing. I don't know what you mean by, hey Siri, I'm just guess.
Hey Siri, I'm just guess.
Oh, so you gave it a 3?
Mm-hmm.
Man, you're filling these things up quick. So quick.
Then, there were 3 books in particular that I started last year, never finished. I'm trying to get through them this year.
Was one of these...
This is
wait, this was your jar book.
Yes.
Did we say that?
Yes.
Oh, my bad.
So that was Senlin Ascends. This book was not for me. Like, I went into it, so about 100 pages in.
I'm so glad, because at first you were like, this looks pretty good. It seems pretty great. I like it. It's pretty good. You should read it. And I was like, Okay.
So it's well
I'll look
written.
into it.
The characters are well developed. But about 120 or so pages in, it just all went downhill for me. Like, I felt like there were too many little mini plots that were happening simultaneously with the overarching story, and I didn't care about any of it. There were too many characters that you were meeting that I just didn't care about. He was doing things that I just didn't care about, and I just felt like it was a little over the top and ridiculous for what it was. That being said, it was well written, but I was really bored after like 120 pages. So I will definitely not be continuing with this series. And you shouldn't read that.
Me, not you guys could read it, but
No, you can if you want. I just don't think he would like it. So
2.
I
That's
gave
not
it a
too
2
bad.
because it was well written and I did like the beginning, but after the beginning it just kind of like...
So next up for the February book club, we read The Lies of Locke Lamora. I always thought Locke Lamora was one word. Like his name was Locke.
They do kind of flow it
yeah,
together.
Locke Lamora. You know, that's his name. Locke Lamora Locke. Locke Lamora Lamora. But it's not. It's Locke
So
Lamora.
this is kind of like a fantasy, but like a light fantasy action adventure heist story.
Definitely heist, yeah.
I felt also in this book there were a little too many like mini plots within the big plot.
Too many as in not good? Like
I just feel like I didn't care about all of them. Like it was still really well written. It's definitely not everyone's writing style, I don't think. It's kind of fluffy and pretty, and it wasn't so in our book club not everyone enjoyed the writing style. I liked it, but it still was a little over the top sometimes.
I did enjoy it as well. I don't think it was the best. I wish there was more magic, like deeply, like in, like that's what I like about fantasy is like more of the magic and stuff. The world definitely had magic. Some people were saying that it wasn't a fantasy.
It's absolutely
but
fantasy.
It was fantasy. It's just the characters that they followed didn't have
magic.
Direct connection to magic, you know. But they were in a world that had magic. Like even let's say like Frodo, right? He's a hobbit, but he doesn't really have powers.
Yeah.
He just has the ring and another item, you know.
Yeah.
But he's not magic himself.
It was light fantasy, in my opinion. Like it had it. There could
but I
have
mean,
been more...
fantasy doesn't need to have magic, right? It just needs to be fantasy.
It doesn't need to have magic, but to me, the fact that it does have magic definitely makes it fantasy.
100%, yeah.
So I feel like this book ended in a way where I don't need to read more. Like I know that there's 2 other books in the series, possibly more in the future, but it wrapped up in a way where like I don't know if I care to read on.
Yeah,
like,
I don't like. I just the main character's cool and everything, but it's just like I wish there was
more to him.
More. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really care about reading more.
One of my favorite series is Sufficiently Advanced Magic, as previously kind of stated. That is heavy magic.
Yeah.
That is video game level mage magic mana, like levels and mana pools and RPG and leveling systems and like leveling up and turning Super Saiyan basically. Like that's my type of fantasy. I love that series so much. I can't wait for the next book to come out.
All right, let's rate this.
I'm just like I'm freaking out about it. It's gonna be so good.
Gosh.
What did you give this one, Meek?
I don't know. So in the thing, I give it a 3.5 to a 4, but I think I'm gonna give it a 3.5.
Yeah, me too. Man, we're agreeing on everything this year.
That's.
What's the point of me even like putting these on here? They're just the same as yours. 3.5, is that what I just said?
Yeah.
That was me charging
it's
up my...
It's crooked, but that's fine.
It's not crooked.
It's fine.
Your face is crooked.
Fine.
Your face is crooked, and it makes you think that everything else is crooked. It's not my fault.
So I found a book that we're definitely not going to agree on, and that is The Obelisk Gate.
Yeah.
By N.K. Jemisin. This is the sequel to the 5th season.
I couldn't finish the fifth season. I don't know. I got lost at some point. I was like, what is even happening? Why is this going on? I didn't love it. But you loved it. I think you gave it a star.
gave it a 5. I
Oh, a
probably
5.
should have given it a star.
Yeah,
because
you loved it so much.
This one I liked very slightly less, and I still gave it a 5 stars. Spoiler, but a little bit of the intrigue is gone from the first ones because they explained some things, and I feel like sometimes that mystery and intrigue is like really what gets you. And this also, by the way, was in my TBR jar. But I still really love the way it's written, the characters, and just the world. I just love it, and I want to know what's going to happen. So I will probably continue with the next one next month, even though, you know, I'm just going to be adding books to my TBR. Like
I
crazy.
love it. The third one's out already?
Yeah, this series is done.
Oh, man.
So my first 5 star.
Wow. Dude, look at that. Look at that. You're just missing a
1
and
a 2
2.5 and a 1.5. But
and a 4.5.
Oh, and a 4.5. Okay,
I'm
never
missing
mind.
a lot.
Forget what I said.
Then
The scale is basically what? 11?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
I know how to count sometimes.
So then my February wrapped book was Deadfall. Unfortunately, he didn't want to read this with me because it didn't come in audio, and he doesn't have time for that. So
Ain't nobody got time for that. I
It
got a
was
lot of
good.
other things to do. You know, don't throw me out there like to the sharks right now.
Yeah.
It's like, come on.
So it was good. It's basically a story about 2 brothers, like twin brothers, that grow up in a crappy family situation and end up. It's told between like the past and now they're like being hunted in the woods, and in the past they had all this crazy bad stuff happening to them. I found myself just wanting to read the now parts, like them being hunted in that crazy situation, and then like it was getting my anxiety up, and I was just like, oh my god, this is so scary and so anxiety, and it was just like, and it just made you want to keep reading. And then their past stuff, I was just like, I don't really care.
You know what I just realized? In the Lies of Locke Lamora book, that was my favorite part, was like the past. Because it was like their origin story.
Yeah.
It was like telling, like, I know that's not, you said that you wanted the present. I
Yeah.
wanted the past.
Well,
And
because that's where all the action was happening. In the past was just kind of like generic. Like, you read so many books, especially YA, that have crappy parents and crappy situations, and like it just felt like nothing new and nothing special. But the present was pretty like engaging and stuff. So I enjoyed it, but I didn't love it.
So I think that's why I like origin stories. They're always cool, right?
Oops.
And that's why I like Sufficiently Advanced Magic. If you guys didn't know, it's a pretty good book. You should probably check it out. It's like my favorite book.
Let me rate this.
Oh, you want to rate this?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I was just talking about my favorite book of all time.
I gave it a 3.
It's not my favorite book of all time, but it's on that list.
I thought I put that upside down for a second.
You did.
I didn't.
Gotcha.
So let's pause it so I can go get your book. Then I'll talk about this.
What's next, Meek?
The book that you read without me.
Yeah.
You randomly found this on our Audible account and started listening to it. And I don't know what you think about it because you never talked about it.
Okay, so I really liked it. I thought it was a kind of a different take on. It kind of reminded me of the Lies of Locke Lamora a little bit, like the way the world was set up with magic and stuff.
So what kind of story is it? Is it like a heist, a fantasy, an action adventure? Like, I don't know anything about it.
It's kind of an action adventure. The main characters are on an adventure to do something, and then some shenanigans ensue, and they have to do something else.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the book, they're kind of still on that same, because obviously it's going to be a multi. They're kind of still on that same thing. So it's good though.
Is it magical?
It has magic,
Okay.
but it also has like science almost.
Okay.
It kind of starts off as like everything's kind of mystical, but then it kind of explains some things into like science, you know, a little bit.
Fake science. Good.
Yeah. Obviously it's definitely fantasy. It definitely has magic. Oh, I'm just remembering one part which was like really cool, and I was just like, oh yeah, that was pretty magic-y there. It's definitely cool. They're basically, I would say there's like 3 main characters, and they're all well written. There's obviously like the comedic relief character that's like he's like a little bit funnier and kind of like a womanizer. Like he's always trying, like kind of like Brock from Pokemon. He's always trying to get a girl or whatever. So it's funny. It's good, and it's kind of dark in some spots too. Like there's some dark stuff that happens to some of the characters that I was warned about before I went in, so it wasn't really surprising to me.
How were you warned?
Our friend Fedge.
He read that?
Read it. He read like everything.
Yeah,
There's like every book that I'm reading, I'm always like, "Hey, bro, did you check this out yet? It's pretty good." He's like, "Oh yeah, I read it like 3 years ago. It's kind of dark." That's basically what he told me. He's like, "Yeah, it was a little too dark for me," is what he said, and I was just
like anything scary or creepy.
Well, it wasn't scary. It was like
or dark.
It was like dark in like a brutal way.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
Like some crazy stuff happens that I was just like, wow. But that's I would say just know that going in. I think it's more of an adult book.
I think it is.
It definitely, because of those dark things that happen. I definitely wouldn't recommend it for tweenies. But it's if you like that type of stuff, maybe you'd like it. I did like the fact that there was no sex in it.
There wasn't a lot of romance in like any of the books we read.
Thank goodness.
Kingdom of Ash has it always, but I mean that's what Sarah J. Maas is known for.
All right, what did I give this one?
I don't know.
I would say I gave it a 4. So guys, just so you know, we kind of always go over this, but I would say 4s are excellent books. 5s are like the best. Like you basically almost couldn't be any better than a 5. That's how I see it, like in my opinion. And then stars are just like
plus ultra.
Oh, plus ultra, But yeah, so 4s are still really good. To me, like a 3 is an average. It's like it's pretty good. It's
good, but not great.
I would say even a 1 is better than what I can do. So if I ever give a book a 1, don't think that I'm saying like, oh, this is crap. It's just it wasn't for me. That's kind of how we lately have been describing it. Not that it's a badly written book, because I can't write any better. I can't write for anything, but I can enjoy things. And that's how I rate my books, is how much I enjoyed them.
All right, last book of the month, which I started and finished on February 29th, was...
Wow, brag about it.
The Order of the Pure Moon Reflected in Water by Zen Cho. So this book comes out in June. So it's about a nun who finds herself interacting with bandits while she's at work, and then she gets fired, and she thinks that it's like brought her to have to follow them. Like this is like the path that she's been chosen. So she goes and starts following around this group of bandits in the woods, and I don't want to tell you too much about it.
You said it was kind of funny?
Yeah, there were some like funny parts to it that I wasn't expecting at all. I was expecting it to be like a very serious book. And I really enjoyed the ending. Yeah. I gave it a 4.
What? How is that even possible?
Why? It was a fun, but like short. It was only like 150 pages.
I know, it took you all day to read it.
But because I was reading it like on and off. But it was really good. It didn't have like, you kind of get worried that like, my worry going into it, and this may be spoiling it for you, was that like, girl going into a bunch of bandits is going to end up loving one of them, and like that doesn't happen. And
nice.
So there's no like romance, there's just friendship and like looking out for one another, and like there ends up being magic in this world. I hope that's not a spoiler, but I didn't think there was going to be magic in it, but there is. And it just ended up being like a pretty cool short story.
What about is it like Asian at all?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I don't remember if it's set in China. I feel like it's supposed to be China.
They have nuns?
They call them nuns, but they're like monks.
Oh.
She has a shaved head.
Okay.
The girl. But that's her.
Okay.
But yeah, I definitely enjoyed it. And that's it. That's mine. So far in 2020, this is what we've read. You gotta step up your game, kid.
But mine are all on the top half,
True.
all right? So That's how I roll. I may not have as many as you, but I have
Quality
my
over
quality
quantity.
is over the quantity. All right. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Leave a comment down below, including the word blood. If you stay tuned this far, that's how we know that you're maybe
Plus
part of
ultra.
maybe part of the notification squad. If you guys want to do that, hit that little bell button when you subscribe. If you're already subscribed, that's cool. Whatever. And like the video if you liked it.
Let me know also if you've read any of these books and what you thought, or if you plan on reading any of them, or if you have any suggestions. I'm always down for that.
Okay, now say bye, Meek.
Bye, Meek.
Bye.